Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Now, every day on the John Campea Show, we save a little bit of time. That's our morning show with our main movie news and everything. We save a little bit of time to take some live questions, but here on Open Mic, that's all we do is take some live questions. Now, I didn't know if I was going to have a show today. I had a dental appointment, and the results? I still have a broken tooth. Okay, so here's what, for those of you who don't know what's going on, for those of you who might be new and don't know what's going on, why do I look like a Canadian hockey player right now? Okay, so here's the deal. So a couple years ago, I'm in one of my classes, get hit in the face, as happens in these classes sometimes, and broke a tooth, no big deal. Go into the dentist, they put a crown on it, it's all good, right? Then the other night, it just falls out. So I go to my new dentist, say, hey, can you put this back? And they're like, sorry to tell you, your last dentist did such a bad job on this, we can't just put it back in. We got to yank what's left of the tooth out, put a screw into your jaw, and put an implant on it. I'm like, well, shit, that sounds horrible. But if it's got to be done, it's got to be done. So my appointment was today. So I go into the dentist today, and I'm sitting in this chair 4 hours. There's a bunch of prep work to be done, all that kind of stuff, but a problem arises. And the problem is, you see, some of you may know that I had a heart attack a couple of years ago. Well, it's a bunch of years ago now, but anyway, part of the result of it is I'm taking this, I'm on this one medication that I'll probably have to take for the rest of my life. But this medication that's a blood thinner, and I'm in perfectly great health now, but I still got to be on this medication just as a precaution. But the medication's a blood thinner, right? And apparently, I need to be off that medication for at least 4 days in order to have this procedure. And I guess that makes sense, because if you're on blood thinner and they're ripping things out of your face, you don't want to bleed to death. Imagine that. So, I'm not even sure which medication it is, so they're going back and forth. I've got assistance in my mouth. I'm in this chair for like 2 hours today, right? And ultimately, when they got finally ready to do it, the dentist comes in, the oral surgeon comes in and says, we can't do the procedure, we just can't. So, because they had never told me to be off this medication. So it's like, So anyway, this oral surgeon is only in the office 2 days a month. And they're they're on vacation 2 weeks from now. So I have to now wait until after ComicCon to get this fixed. Now they said we can put in a temporary, what's called a stay plate or something. So but I'm like, I'm not vain. I don't care that I got a gap in my tooth and I look like a Canadian hockey player. I'm like, wait a second, this thing you're going to give me, can I eat with it in? They're like, no, you'd have to take it out. Then I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if I look like a hockey player for another week. So 2 hours in the dentist, sitting in a dentist chair, and I still don't have this damn tooth fixed. And now I gotta wait a month. I've gotta wait a month. You don't understand how weird it is having air coming out of your mouth where you're not used to having air coming out of your mouth. It's a very odd feeling. Anyway, so that was my day. How was your day? Mine was pretty miserable, thank you very much. But anyway, so yeah, I'm going to get that done next week. So yeah, you're going to see that for at least the next little while. And you can still see, like, a bunch of my tooth is still up there. It's just that, ain't nothing they can do about it. Anyway, story time's over. You don't care about my teeth woes. You want to talk about some movie stuff, right? Well, let's do that then. A bunch of you guys have already sent in a whole bunch of live questions. So let's start getting to those right now. And we start things off with... where are we? We're right here. We start things off with Adam Douglas, who writes Novocaine test, cinnamon, innovate, preliminary. Yep, no Novocaine. They were getting, you know how the dentists, before they stick you with the needle, because it can hurt. Like back here, it's no problem. But if you ever gotten the needle in the front part of your gums, that's painful. Anyway, so what they do is they put this topical anesthetic on first, right? That starts to numb the surface so they can give you the needle without it hurting too much. So they had that in and everything. I never got the needle. Never got the needle, but I was talking like this for just a bit. So no, I never got the Novocaine. So I'm here able to do the show, no problem. Let's see. Thor writes, You said you like the first Transformers movie and the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Yeah, I like them both very much, actually. But what sequels would you rather watch? Pirates 2 through 5 or Transformers 2 through 5? What are the better movies in your opinion? You know, if I had to choose, I'd watch the Pirates movies. The Pirates movies, and because, by the way, the last pirate movie, the one that came out last year, isn't all that bad. It's actually, it's okay. It's pretty good. It's not great, but it's at least okay. I thought it was okay. I had a good time watching it. All the other ones are bad. Anyway, so at least there's that. And as bad as Pirates 2, 3, and 4 are, they don't make me angry. Like, a lot of those Transformers movies, they just make me angry. They're so bad. And they do certain things in them that are just really just grind my gears, to quote Peter Griffin. So if I had to watch a big series of sequels from either the Transformers films or Pirates of the Caribbean, I'll go with the Pirates of the Caribbean. Because while some of them may not be any good, they're at least not getting you angry bad. And one of them is actually pretty watchable. So I'll go with the Pirates of the Caribbean one on that. All right. Luke1234 writes, signed up for AMC A-List. Me too, buddy. I'm going to use the shit out of this thing. A great added benefit for my days off. I'm going to use this thing like crazy. Like absolute crazy. And I don't have my phone here. I should, because my mom's in the hospital. So I should have my phone here. But one of the really great things about it that we are not talking nearly enough about is the ease in which it can be used. Like, it integrates with your AMC app, and you don't have to have another card. You just use your AMC app, book your tickets, and boom, your ticket pops up on your phone. Just show it there, and they scan it. You're good. And it's got the whole layout of which movies you've already got reserved tickets for and what you're. It's beautiful. It is well thought out, and you know, I give all the credit in the world to a guy who used to be my boss's boss's boss at AMC. So when I was at AMC, my boss, the guy who recruited me, was a guy by the name of Justin Gardner. Solid, awesome dude. And above him was like vice president of our division. And then above him was the chief marketing of the CMO of AMC Theaters. His name was Steven Calderaro. And Steven, super smart, sharp executive. If you've ever heard me talk about when I left AMC, I said, hey, there's still some people there that I think are just aces and awesome, wonderful people that I loved working with. Steven's one of those dudes. Steven is the CMO of AMC Theater. Super awesome guy. I liked working with him a great deal. And he's the guy behind this whole AMC A-List thing. And I actually wrote to him the other day. First I jabbed him. I said, because, you know, nobody watches the AMC YouTube channel anymore. And like, first I jabbed at him in a bit. I said, hey, Steven, if you'd taken my advice and put Denizen in charge of the AMC YouTube channel, this video would have 100,000 views by now. But then after jabbing him a little, I'm like, but listen, man, this A-List thing is awesome. Game changer. This is good. This is going to change everything. Super smart dude, the guy behind this, and the thought that went into it, not just to do the program, but how do we as moviegoers interact with the program. And that's all laid out on the app. It's a beautifully put together thing. I'm a big fan of it. I look forward to using it a great deal. The HR department at AMC Theaters is still a bunch of incompetent moronic hyenas that can all burn in hell. But anyway, aside from that, I'm still a big fan of AMC Theaters. And yeah, what they've pulled off here, I think is pretty damn impressive. I think it's pretty damn impressive. And I'm very excited about starting to put this thing to use. Okay, next one comes to us from the number Thor, who writes, thoughts on Dennis Quaid and his best performances. Oh, I like Dennis Quaid. I mean, everybody likes Dennis Quaid. I mean, that's easy. You know what? While Tombstone is clearly the better movie, Dennis Quaid was really good in Wyatt Earp. He was really good in it. And now, unfortunately, Wyatt Earp gets overshadowed a ton by Tombstone, obviously. But don't underestimate how good Dennis Quaid was in that. And then there was, what was that one, The Rookie? He was really good in The Rookie. I mean, look, Dennis Quaid actually has a number of really great performances. I say the two that jump off the top of my head are Wyatt Earp and The Rookie. Those are the two that jump out to me. I'm sure there's many, many others, but those are the two that come off the top of my head. ZOMG Ruler writes, over under 27%, an MCU film will someday be rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, I'll take the over on that. Yeah, look, Marvel is not some goose that lays golden eggs. They've done a great job with the MCU so far. But this is the same company. Now, grant different divisions and everything, but still the same company that puts out that shit show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that just put out the garbage Luke Cage Season 2, that put out the garbage Iron Fist. And now, I understand a lot of you guys like Jessica Jones. That's fine. Jessica Jones does not work for me at all. Like, so it's not like Marvel is some, you know, again, some goose that lays golden eggs. It just bends over and craps out gold. They have shown they can put out some garbage. They put out a hell of a lot of good stuff, but they also put out garbage. Inevitably, like, you keep making movies, eventually one of them is going to be a crapper. And it'll get a negative, it'll get under, you know, 50%. It's going to happen. It's not over under 27%. It's 100%. It's a fact. It's a certainty. Eventually it will happen. Maybe it'll happen this year. Maybe it'll happen well, no, this year's done, but maybe it'll happen next year. Maybe it'll happen 2020. Maybe it'll happen 2021, but eventually it will happen. And maybe sooner rather than later. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. All right. Number Thor writes, thoughts on the movie From Hell with Johnny Depp. If it's the one I'm thinking of, and it is... Oh, it's not the one I'm thinking of. Oh, it's completely a different one, but this is the one he did with Heather Graham and Ian Holm. No, I did not like it. Did not like that one. You know what I was confusing it with? I was confusing it with the Headless Horseman one. That Ray Park, the guy who plays, who does the body of Darth Maul, who's the physical Darth Maul, and he does snake eyes and stuff like that. He was also the Headless Horseman in a Johnny Depp Headless Horseman movie. I was getting it confused with that. But no, this one with Heather Graham, Ian Holm, who played the older version of Bilbo Baggins. No, I didn't like that one, to be honest with you. I thought it was pretty weak. And honestly, I didn't think the acting in it was all that good either. So yeah, to me, not a strong one. Not a strong one at all. All right. Murray Reich writes, after 40 hours, I'm still unable to sign up for the AMC service because of the constant errors. They claim because I live in New York, not Bumblekin. Even, I don't know, EO is trying to sign up, but I don't understand that because you live in LA area and you have no problems. Well, yeah, like I said, I had problems at first. I did. Trying to sign up for the AMC, the new AMC A-list thing, I ran into the error messages a few times. Now, on my third or fourth try, it went through. And same thing with Fact Checker Jonathan, my editor. Fact Checker Jonathan, whose full name is Jonathan Voico. He was like Slack messaging me saying, hey, like Slack messaging me and Ray's like, are you guys having problems signing up? So he had problems too. So it's not like it was just woo woo easy breezy for us either. Like we had challenges with it as well, but then it went through. So yeah, why it's having more particular issues for you in New York and I was able to get through on my third or fourth try, I'm not real sure about that. But hey, you'll get through. It'll happen. Maybe it'll take another day. Maybe it'll take 2 more days. I don't know, but you'll get through. Don't worry about it. And like, you know, we see things like this happen with any service when some new things come out. Like, look, remember when MoviePass dropped their price to $10? You're supposed to get your MoviePass in like 4 or 5 days. I had to wait 6 weeks to get my card. Right? Cinemia too, like just, they got a whole, as MoviePass started to go down the crappers, Cinemia started getting a big influx of new customers and they started getting delays, right? So, and when the tickets for Star Wars The Force Awakens went on sale, remember that? Like movie ticket sites across the world were crashing. So obviously this AMC thing's a big deal. And they're having some technical problems. I get it. Look, if you still can't sign up a week from now, then there's something really wrong. But just keep trying. You'll get there, man. You'll get there. It sucks that you haven't been able to get through yet, but I have no doubt you will be able to get through. All right. Number Thor writes, MCU Black Panther versus Captain America. Who wins? Captain America. Yeah, I think Captain America wins that fight. Then again, I really don't think there's many people in the MCU Captain America doesn't win in a fight against. There are a few. Obviously, there are a few, but not many Captain America doesn't find a way to win those fights. Okay. Number Thor writes, John, would you rather spend a passionate night with Jennifer Garner, see the Maple Leafs win a major trophy? Well, there's only one major trophy in hockey. Or get the original Star Wars release on Blu-ray instead of the special editions. I've got Star Wars, even though it's not Blu-ray, but I can still watch it. I can have passionate nights with other people other than Jennifer Garner. The Toronto Maple Leafs have never been to the Stanley Cup in my lifetime. As long as little Johnny Campea, little Giovanni, has drawn breath on this earth, the Toronto Maple Leafs have never been to the Stanley Cup Finals. Forget winning. They've never even been there. There's not a lot I wouldn't give up. Now, I don't talk about hockey a whole hell of a lot on these shows because a lot of you guys are Americans. You guys just don't get hockey. I mean, you don't appreciate hockey nearly as much. Like to you, hockey's an afterthought. I get that and I respect that. So I don't talk hockey and all that much. But like, make no mistake, I bleed blue and white. All the way back to the days of Rick Vive, you know, Wilf Paymont, Bill Derlego, Boreas Salming, Ian Turnbull, Yuri Sira. Like, there are some, like, if you know any of those names, good on you. But that back since I was a little kid watching hockey, and me and my buddy Aggie Cabral, my best friend at the time, Aggie Cabral, when the Toronto Maple Leafs would score, we'd call each other, did you see that? Oh my gosh, he scored! You know, Pat Hickey going down this. Anyway, I'm a pretty passionate Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Don't talk about it a lot on the show, but that's fine. No doubt, I would take the Toronto Maple Leaf thing. Without a second thought, I would take the Toronto Maple Leaf thing. I have serious doubts I will ever in my lifetime see the Toronto Maple Leafs get to the Stanley Cup Finals. It is like the toughest trophy in professional sports to win. So, fingers crossed, but yeah, I would definitely go for the Toronto Maple Leaf thing. Jedi Kim writes, love your show, John. Have you seen I Feel Pretty? Is it okay? I have seen I Feel Pretty, and you know what? It is okay. It's okay. It's got a lot of dumbness to it, but the underlying message of it, I think, was a pretty positive one. And what they were going, there's some points to be given for what they're going for. Was it executed great? Was it definitely weak in a lot of ways? Yes. Is it something I'd recommend? Not necessarily. But I thought, you know, I'm watching, I think, okay, that's okay. I thought it was okay. But that's the best I can say at this point. Let's see. Gerald Quinata writes, so I know you're going with Stipe, but who are you picking? Ngannou versus Lewis, Holloway versus Ortega. Oh, that's easy. I got Stipe, I got Ngannou, and I've got Holloway. And all three. You're right. I got DC, so that's different from mine. Ngannou and Holloway. So we're pretty much the same, except on the emotion. I think, okay, DC's a better wrestler than Stipe, but not by a whole ton. But he's a better wrestler. Stipe is a better striker, I believe, by a bigger margin than DC is a better wrestler. So I'm giving the edge to Stipe. I am. That dude, that's a scary man. Stipe is a scary, scary man. And DC is awesome. I love Daniel Cormier. Like, I want to see him kick John Bones Jones's ass. Like, you know, when he's not on roids. Or cocaine, or running over pregnant women. But whatever. I want to see DC beat that guy. But I love Daniel Cormier. I really do. I think he's got a great attitude. He seems like a super nice guy. But yeah, I'm still going with Stipe, to be honest with you. Number Thor writes, I see you collect pops. What are some of your favorites? Well, yeah, I've got a lot of pops. And like the majority of them aren't even here. A bunch of them are still in boxes. When I had a pretty big office at the last place I worked. And I had them, like, I had my assistant put up shelving all over the place so I could have my pops all over the place. And then when I moved out and I left, a lot of them went into boxes. So a lot of my stuff is still in boxes. My favorite ones, though, are still my first two. That's these two right here. And these were gifts. These are the first two I ever got, and they were a gift from Ray, my graphics guy, who's been with me ever since AMC. And Ray, he's also my brother-in-law. He's Ann's brother. Ray got me those. They were my first 2 pops. And it's Sam and Dean Winchester from Supernatural. And I'm like, these are really cool. And then it kind of turned into a lot more. So, yeah, it turned into a lot more. But I'd say those ones are probably still my favorites. Let's see. Chris Miner writes, where do you think LeBron should go next season? I think he should go to Los Angeles. He's not going to win a title in Los Angeles, but he's now entering the 4th quarter, if you will, of his career, right? He's now entering, there's more days behind him in his career than there are ahead of him. And he is, I think, positioning himself to be a mogul in the entertainment industry. He's already set up a new production company. He's going to be involved in entertainment. He was already looking at high schools for his son and things like that in LA. To me, it just seems like LA is the place he's going to be after he retires anyway. Why not get in here now and maybe give the Lakers a couple of winning seasons, because they haven't had a winning season in a few years, and really establish himself there. So I think where he should go, he's already got his rings. He's got 3 rings. He's got a bunch of MVPs. He's got all the things. He's whatever. There's nothing left to prove. Come to LA, help them have a couple of winning seasons, and establish yourself here. That's probably, I think, the best move for him. Let's see. BMX Nation writes, thoughts on Batman killing dudes in Batman vs. Superman? I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great. I thought he just did what every other superhero does. And to everybody who gets upset about, well, in the comics, number 1, learn your comic history. Batman has killed before in the comics. He has killed in the comics. But number 2, this isn't the comics. This is a live action movie. Every character in the movies, be they DCEU or MCU, are different from their comic book counterparts. And in this movie, Batman's a dude who will kill fools if they're trying to kill him. Just like every other hero in the MCU, just like every other hero in the DCU. Yeah, you're trying to kill Batman, or you're trying to kill innocent people, you may lose your life. And I had no problem with it whatsoever. I loved it, to be honest with you. To be really frank with you, I absolutely loved it. Because, let's be clear about this. The whole no killing thing with Batman in many ways is bullshit. Because you look at the things Batman does to people, the fact of the matter is, you punch somebody in the jaw, you could kill them. I mean, that's just reality. Somebody falls down the wrong way, hits their head on the ground, they die. Boom. And with the amount of sheer brutality that Batman unleashes on people, any one of those things could kill somebody. It could kill them. The only way to ensure you're not going to kill them is to not hit them hard. Don't hit them hard. And the way Batman hits people can cause brain aneurysms just like that. So I've always kind of found that in the comic books, that whole, he's got this code, he won't kill people, but he'll do things to them that could easily kill them. They just write it that, oh no, but he's fine. He just has broken ribs. Oh, don't worry. He's just going to be in hospital for a long time. But through some magical spell, none of them ever get terminally damaged. It's BS. I understand it's one of the defining things of Batman in some of the comic runs, but it's kind of BS. Because of all the things just read Dark Knight Returns. Oh my goodness. Or read any of the other, particularly read No Man's Land. Like, he does some brutal, brutal stuff. That, fine, in the comics they don't say it kills the people, but it could very easily kill them. So, yeah, I have no problem with the fact that they carry on that way in the movies, personally. Zombitron5678 writes, it's a shame that I don't live near an AMC with IMAX or any other special format. Only one is independent from all the other chains. Yay, Cinemia. Yeah, that sucks. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing, is that, you know, the fact of the matter is, and I talked about this the other day, there's still probably going to be a place for a third-party service, even though Cinemark has their own movie club now that AMC is rolling out their membership service, you know Regal's going to roll out their own service. Alamo Drafthouse has already announced they're going to start test marketing their own membership service. I still think that there will be a place for a service like Cinemia. Because the one thing that the AMC card won't do is get you into a Regal or into an ArcLight. The thing a Regal membership won't do is get you into a Cinemark and vice versa, you know? So I still think there's going to be a place for a service like Cinemia. But for a lot of people, like me, who do live relatively close to a big major theater, it just makes sense to go with that one service. So for me, I live a 10-minute walk from one of the biggest AMC theaters in the world. So it's a no-brainer for me. That's where I go to see 95% of my movies. So yeah, but for everybody else, Cinemia is still going to be there, and I hope Cinemia can find a way to survive. I don't think they will, but I hope they do. Kevin Brown writes, thoughts on the insider info Grace Randolph talked about regarding secret... Oh, it's all bullshit. With Bob Iger and Disney department heads about replacing Kathleen Kennedy and his displeasure with how she has handled Star Wars fandom. It's bullshit. Now look, I will say this. I don't know Grace Randolph personally, but let's give Grace the benefit of the doubt. I don't doubt that that's what she was told. I do not doubt, maybe a small doubt, but I think I'd give her the benefit of the doubt that that is indeed what she was told. So when I say this thing is bullshit, I'm not saying Grace is lying. I believe that's what she was told, okay? But I believe what she was told is total BS. First of all, nothing about that story made any sense whatsoever, okay? Let's start with this. A secret meeting. Then how do you know about it? Disney is the king of tight security. Heavens, they can have big sets and no secrets about Infinity War ever gets out. No secrets about this ever gets out. I mean, they're the tight. You think in their executive branch, they have top secret meetings. Well, how do you know about it then? Well, I heard about it from someone from Pinewood. How did somebody from Pinewood find out about it? So right there, your BS alarm should be going off. BS alarm number 2. No executive with any professionalism at all is going to talk about thinking about firing another executive with all these department heads. That is not how you conduct business. I've been a head person in an organization, all right? And I can tell you this, whenever contemplating maybe letting somebody go, or if it's some, we need to address a certain person, I don't bring in 7 heads of different departments and talk crap about one of the other leaders. Maybe I have one trusted person, one key person that I'll consult with, but I'm not going to bring in 8 people. Hey, let's all sit around and talk crap about this other person about how I don't know if they can stay here or not. That's not how corporations work. That's not how professionals work. That is not what Bob Iger would do. Bob Iger is not calling in the heads of Pixar and the heads of saying, I'm thinking about firing Kathleen Kennedy. You don't have those discussions with people. You don't do that. That just completely undermines your own leadership. You don't do that. So that's the second thing that should set off your BS alarm on this whole thing. The third thing that would set off your major BS alarm on all this is the fact that Bob Iger is an emperor. Bob Iger is king. He is both the chairman of the board and the CEO of Disney. Understand that. He is both the chairman of the board of directors of Disney and he is the CEO of Disney. Bob Iger answers to essentially no one. He has to answer to the collective board, sure, but the collective board is all on board with him. He's their chairman and he's the CEO. Bob Iger answers to nobody. He doesn't need consensus from everybody, and he doesn't need permission from anybody to fire anyone. He didn't need everybody's permission to fire John Lasseter. He just did it. If he ever decides to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, and I'm not saying that can't happen, by no means. Nobody put those words in my mouth. I'm not saying that can't happen. But if Bob Iger wants to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, guess who he has to have a meeting with? Kathleen Kennedy. That's it. He'll probably also work through Alan Horn. I could totally see him working with Alan Horn to suss through that. But him calling some kind of big secret meeting with all these department heads and subheads and all together. See, let's talk crap about one of these other people that I'm thinking about firing. That is not how a professional would conduct that. That is just not what a professional would do. So for all three of those, strike one, how you had a big secret meeting and you just happen to know about a big secret meeting. Nonsense. Strike two, that is not how Bob Iger would conduct himself as a professional. No legitimate executive would do something like that. Number three, Bob Iger doesn't need consensus or approval from anybody to fire anybody he wants to. He is King Iger at Disney, both the chairman of the board and the CEO. So nothing in that story is logical. Nothing in that story adds up. Not a single shred of it. Now again, don't go putting words in my mouth. John says Grace Randolph's lying. Not at all. I will give her the benefit that that was indeed what she was told. And she's just communicating what she's been told. And that's fine. But I don't believe anything that she's been told. At least when it comes to this story, because nothing makes any logical sense whatsoever. Like, it doesn't hold up to the slightest bit of scrutiny. So, I'm certainly not crapping on Grace Randolph for telling the story. Hey, if somebody came to her that she has some degree of trust in and tells her something, she's just communicating what she's been told. I'm not crapping on her at all for telling the story. I'm just saying, I believe there is, just by looking, anybody with any rationality would look at that story and goes, okay, three major points. This doesn't make sense in this story. This doesn't make sense in this story. And this doesn't make sense in this story. And notice that none of those points are because they wouldn't do that to Kathleen Kennedy. No, I'm not saying Kathleen Kennedy is above being booted. Not at all. That's totally not, but she could be booted. Absolutely. But everything about that story does not add up. Nothing is consistent with reality in that story. So nobody should pay any attention to that story whatsoever. Again, not bashing on Grace Randolph for reporting it. I think she's just reporting what she's been told. That's all you can do. She was told that, she reported it. But I do not believe we should believe what it was she was told. None of the stuff adds up or makes any sense. So, no, there's nothing to that. There's nothing to that. So I would just ignore it personally. Ben Kenobi writes, thoughts of Jared Leto as Morbius spin-off movie? Yeah, a report just went out like 2 hours ago on Deadline that Jared Leto may be playing Morbius in another de facto Spider-Man-less Spider-Verse for Sony. Now, that's interesting. Now, I clearly, this all broke while I was getting ready to do the show today, okay? So I haven't looked heavy into it. Like I said, just dropped like 2 hours, and I've been in the midst of trying to get things together here. But it's interesting on two levels. Number one, that it shows that Sony is still committed to moving forward with this whole Spider-Verse thing. Okay. Hopefully that means they have some faith in the Venom movie, but we'll see about that. The Venom movie's coming up in October. Number two, obviously, he's already doing a Joker standalone movie for DC. So he's going to be Joker in DC at the same time that he's going to be Morbius in a Sony Spider-Man universe. Now, we've seen actors go from one, comic book property idea in the movies to another one. I don't know if we've ever seen two actively engaged and being active in two at the same time. Unless there's something I'm forgetting about and not thinking about. But as far as major comic book properties go, we would be having Jared Leto playing Morbius in a Spider-Man universe at Sony and playing Joker in the DC universe. So again, I need to look up more information on this, but it's pretty interesting. It is pretty interesting. Let's see. Oop, had the jump there. Give me a second. Ah, here we go. Okay. Curtis Lopez writes, was at the AMC Burbank 16 to use my, that's the theater I go to use my A-list to see Tag, and the building was busy. Do you think the A-list membership has something to do with it? Well, the AMC Burbank 16 is often busy, but like last night would have been like, what, a Tuesday night? So first night that the A-list program was in effect. Yeah, that probably had something to do with it. I'm not saying definitively. I haven't looked at any charts or graphs or anything like that. And I wasn't there last night. But Ann and I were going to go there last night. But instead, we decided to go to Cheesecake Factory for dinner in Glendale. And then we went to one of our favorite gaming stores. It's a place in Burbank called Emerald Knights. And we went there, and I'm such a nerd, I bought a new dice tray. John, what's a dice tray? Well, you know, you play your role-playing games, you got to roll dice. And sometimes dice go bouncing all over the place. So I bought this beautiful leather on the outside, like a red velvet on the inside. It's about this big, this wide, and it folds into this sort of a box shape. And you just roll your dice in it, so dice don't go anywhere. John, are you saying you actually spent money for something to roll dice in? Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I did. So, because our original plan last night was to go have dinner by the AMC Burbank 16 and then go into the AMC Burbank 16 to use our movie passes, to use our A-list stuff. But instead, we just had some Dungeons and Dragons itch. So we decided to go have dinner at Cheesecake, and then we went to the gaming shop and did some stuff there. But anyway, that's what we did. Curtis follows that up with... the Tag Theater was packed last night. That's awesome, because it's a good movie. I like Tag. The Tag Theater was packed last night. It made the movie-going experience even better. By the way, I enjoyed Tag. Isla Fisher, I should say, character is my dream wife. Yeah, they played her off like a dream wife, didn't she? Tag's a good little movie. Tag is a good little movie. I enjoyed Tag. If you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, go. It's also got some real emotional depth to it, too. It's a funny, silly comedy, but at the same time, there are some oomph moments in it that play really well. And you guys know that Tag is based on a true story, right? Of this group of friends that have been playing a game of tag for 30 years. And one of the best parts of the movie is at the end of the movie, they play like 2 minutes of actual home movie footage of these guys through the years playing tag. Like some guy that hasn't seen another one of the friends in like a year and a half shows up in his city and goes to his workplace and goes, he's wearing a Santa Claus costume, tag! And then he takes off the mask and just tears of joy and happy guys hugging. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. It was beautiful. Anyway, get a chance, go see Tag. And the fact that the Tag Theater was full, maybe that does go towards like, hey, this A-list thing might be paying off. We'll see. All right. Let's see. Trevor Johnson writes, I always like watching behind the scenes of Jurassic Park films. I can imagine being in front of a huge animatronic and being legitimately terrified. Yeah, I've been on some movie sets where there have been like monster animatronics or models and you're like, okay, like even something as silly as Universal Hollywood, the theme park. They've got some dinosaur stuff in there, and sometimes I'm like, whoa, that looks actually pretty scary. Like, or whatever. But yeah, I was never on a Jurassic Park set. I can only imagine how impressive that stuff would look. Like, it's some pretty impressive stuff. Now, I think a lot of stuff probably in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was probably CGI. I think probably the majority of it was. Well, clearly the majority of it was, but I think probably a bigger majority than even normal probably was. But whatever. Yeah, I'm sure that stuff on set would be really impressive, Trevor. All right. Murray Reich writes, how many end credit scenes are there in Ant-Man 2? Okay, I don't think that would be a spoiler. There are 2 end credit scenes. So there is the traditional mid credits and end credits. So there are 2. There are 2. So I'm trying to decide if I should say something here. I'll be honest with you. You can probably leave after the mid-credit one. I'm not going to say anything about it. It's all up to you. Personally, if you were to say, hey, John, after the first mid-credit scene, is it cool to go or should I hang around for the extra 4 or 5 minutes? I'm going to say you can go. I think you can pretty safely leave. I don't think you're missing out on much if you don't stick around for the final one. But you'll definitely want to stick around for the first one. The first one's really fun. But the last one, I think you could probably skip. If you want to get a 5-minute head start to get to your car, get out of the parking lot, all that kind of stuff, maybe hit the bathroom, you're probably good to leave after the first one. That's just how I feel about it. All right. Pool of Dead writes, where'd I go? There it goes. Finally saw Coco, amazing, and teared up. Like, Coco was beautiful, man. And like I said, I remember my first review about Coco that I know about as much about Mexican, like authentic Mexican culture as Taco Bell knows about authentic Mexican cuisine, which is nothing. I know nothing about authentic Mexican culture. And I got this girlfriend of mine, Dorina, who is constantly teasing me about that. But anyway, but it is a beautiful movie. First of all, visually, it's stunning. It's just a gorgeous movie to look at. Artistically, it's one of the best things artistically that I think Pixar's ever done. It's just absolutely stunning and gorgeous and beautiful. And then the story itself is heartwarming, moving, and you're right. There are times in that movie where you're going to get choked up. Legitimately smiling and tapping your feet, and then 5 minutes later, you're choking up, and you got waterworks starting here. It's a beautiful film. It's absolutely beautiful. If you haven't, so I'm glad you got around to seeing it, Pool of Dead. But if there's any of you guys who still have not seen Coco, you know, in the words of Tom Haverford on Parks and Rec, treat yourself. Treat yourself and go watch Coco. Okay, Taki75 writes, is Jim Cameron as difficult a person as rumored? I really wouldn't know. I mean, I've met the man once. He was perfectly fine when I had a chance to talk to him. So I haven't, so I don't know. I've heard he can be difficult, but when you're a guy who you created not the one, but both of the top 2 all-time box office films of all time, and you are putting together 4 sequels at the moment, you can become a little bit of a perfectionist and demanding, and I get that. So maybe you do come across to some people as being difficult. Hey, whatever makes him successful is fine, but all I can say is I don't know him personally. I've met him once or twice. I had one good opportunity to sit down and chat with him once. He was perfectly fine to me. So that's all I can say. Other than that, I don't really know him personally, so I can't speak to that authoritatively. Zeke Said So. I like that username. Zeke Said So said, I recently did a video on my YouTube channel on who is the better villain, Heath Ledger's Joker or Thanos. My question is, who do you think was the better villain? Thanos. I struggled with that for a while, but I now really do believe Thanos was the better villain. Now, don't confuse that with saying I think Josh Brolin gave a better performance as Thanos than Heath Ledger did as the Joker. I'm not saying that. I think Heath Ledger does give the superior performance, but the character of Thanos is, I think in my opinion, is a better character than Heath Ledger's Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker still stands, I think, as the greatest performance ever given in a comic book movie. To me, not much else comes close. Patrick Stewart in Logan maybe comes a little close, but I would still say the greatest performance ever given in a comic book movie is Heath Ledger as the Joker. But just on pure the character, yeah, the character of Thanos was the better character, I think. Again, and that's different people are going to have different opinions about that, and that's totally fine. That's just kind of how I see that. All right. Pool of Dead follows up with, about to quit my job at Regal as I'm moving out to college this summer. Hey, congratulations, man, going out to college. That's awesome. Perfect time for AMC A-List as I won't get free movies anymore. By the way, Iron Spider. Yeah, screw you with that Iron Spider stuff. I still remember when I was leaving AMC, when I quit AMC, I remember that one dude I was talking to you about. The guy's name is Steven. He's the CMO of AMC. He's still there, kicking ass, good guy, main guy behind this whole AMC A-List thing. And I remember talking to Steven. This is after I quit, but I give them, traditionally you're supposed to give 2 weeks notice. I gave them 4 weeks to make sure they can really get everything together before I left. So I gave them 4 weeks notice. And I remember, and Steven and I would be on the phone with each other every other day or so. And I remember he and I were on the phone with each other. And I said, hey, you know, just checking. But I remember I had quit. I said, what do you think are the chances that I could keep my AMC card? Because I had this fan dandy AMC card that was get into any AMC anytime for free. And with a guest. It was me and a +1. I could go to any AMC theater at any time, just show up at the door, flash my card, and get me and my guest in no matter what. It was awesome. So awesome. And I remember calling Steven and be like, what do you think of the chances? I mean, old time's sake, yada, yada, that maybe I can keep my card. Ha ha, no. That's pretty much the response I got, which is totally fair enough. I wasn't with the company anymore. I shouldn't have an AMC card. I get that. Which is, no, we can't do that, John. I got it. I understand. But man, that would have been sweet. So yeah, I can totally relate with you, Pool of Dead, leaving your company, leaving Regal to go off to college, and just going to miss out on that sweetness of being, maybe it wasn't any Regal theater, but you knew you could go to that Regal theater anytime and slip on in. That's one of the things I missed the most when I left AMC, was not having that sweet AMC card. I did miss that, man. All right. Murray Reich writes, have there been any good Dr. Seuss book adaptation movies? Huh. Well, I mean, look, I know a lot of people dump on it, but I like Jim Carrey's Grinch. I like that movie. I think it's a charming, fun Christmas movie. I really quite enjoy that one. So, I mean, there was that one Danny DeVito one. I'm even forgetting the name of it. That wasn't so hot. There was the Mike Myers one that was not so hot. But yeah, I'll defend the Jim Carrey Grinch one. I like that movie. And I know there are a bunch of people who don't, and that's totally fine. All film's subjective, but I like it, damn it. I think that film's charming and sweet. And I like it, and it's funny, and it makes me laugh. So I'm gonna stick with that one, Murray. Harry T writes, most over and underrated films of the year so far. Oh, I hate when people ask me that, like right off the top of my head. Hold on a second. Let me pull up a list of the movies that have been out this year so far as what might be overrated and underrated. Let's see. Boy, you know what? I think Ready Player One is pretty damn underrated. Ready Player One is a great movie. I don't think it got the pop that it really deserved. Let's see. Man, Game Night. I think Game Night was pretty underrated. Thought Tomb Raider was a little underrated, but not by a lot, so I'm not going to say that one. You know what? I don't think there has been many films. Oh my God, Paddington 2. Paddington 2 is one of the best films of the year. Paddington 2 is one of the best films of the year, and it does not. No one talks about it. Yeah. So I'm going to go most underrated, Paddington 2. As far as most overrated, I don't know. I don't think there's been many. Like Black Panther wasn't overrated. Infinity War wasn't overrated. Incredibles 2 wasn't overrated. Deadpool 2 wasn't overrated. Quiet Place isn't overrated. A bunch of people don't like Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, so you can't say it's overrated. Yeah, I don't know that there's really been a big, serious candidate for most overrated film of the year. I think there's not been a whole ton that's getting heaps and heaps of big praise. And out of the ones that are getting heaps and heaps of big praise, I find that they generally kind of deserve it. So I'll say most underrated is probably Paddington 2. And overrated, I just don't know that there's a solid contender for overrated yet this year. Yeah, that's a tough one off the top of my head. Let's see. Murray Reich follows up. Wished premium seating rooms had a place to put popcorn. You know, that is true. Well, I mean, there are premium theaters. Like, for instance, an AMC dine-in theater. They have this big table tray that comes out in front of you, so you can put your popcorn down. But you're right. Even in average movie theaters, you got a place to sit your soda down. You don't have a place to sit your popcorn down. Now, that would be a challenge because theaters are about optimizing the amount of space you have. And to put in something that would hold popcorn, that would be pretty space intrusive. But again, there are movie theaters like the dine-in. I think there are some Alamo Drafthouse that do it as well, where you actually get a table surface in front of you. So you do that. But I just don't know how in most movie theaters you would pull that off, because how would anybody walk by you? You know, it would be an interesting feat if somebody could pull that off. That would be interesting. But it's a good option. Yeah, every theater's got a place to put your drink. Almost no theaters have a place to put your popcorn. It's true. Okay. Luna Comics writes, who wins? MCU Daredevil or CW's Green Arrow? Ooh. I'm gonna go Green Arrow. I'll go Green Arrow. Now we're talking about the Netflix Daredevil versus the CW Green Arrow. I think I'll go with the CW Green Arrow, but it would be close. Yeah. Let's put it this way. If they fought 10 times, I'd see Oliver winning 6 times, and I'd see Daredevil winning 4 times. So it would go back and forth. I'll personally give the slight edge to Oliver, but I could have my mind changed about that. I could be convinced otherwise. Almost out of time here, so I'm going to fly through a few more. Ali Hussein writes, are you going to do an Ant-Man and the Wasp spoiler talk? If so, can you do that next weekend? Here in Europe, that movie comes out in 1 week. Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of places in Europe that's not opening up for like another month. So I was planning on doing an Ant-Man and Wasp spoiler talk, but I was probably going to do it this weekend. The fact of the matter is, I know there's a bunch of people in my audience who won't have had a chance to see the movie yet. I get it. But the majority of the people who are my audience, which is in North America, that's where the majority of my audience is. The movies are going to be open here. So I am planning on doing one this Sunday. A spoiler talk. So, and I know that sucks. It sucks that they moved the release date in Europe. That was really terrible. In a lot of places in Europe, I should say. That sucks. But it's going to be open here in North America, which is where the vast majority of my audience is. And we're going to be ready. There's no point in me doing a spoiler talk for a movie that opened 2 or 3 weeks earlier. You know what I mean? So it's a sucky situation with sucky timing and everything. But yeah, I'll probably have to do one this weekend. Let's see. Walden writes, just became an A-lister. Can't wait to use it. You and me both, man. I signed up yesterday. Haven't had a chance to use it yet. I just might be using it tonight. Just might be using it tonight. Maybe might see myself some Incredibles 2 again. Alan O'Brien writes, had a silly but fun conversation with a few friends about who is the Hollywood greatest of all time. It came down to Streep, Spielberg, Daniel Day-Lewis, and John Williams. Conversation didn't stay fun for long. Oh, well, I mean, look, you got to throw in like Hitchcock into something like that. Plus, you're talking about people in different fields, right? Like, a director is a very different thing from a music composer. It's a very different thing from an actor. It's a very different thing. Now, if we're going to talk GOAT actor, Daniel Day-Lewis is the greatest of all time, in my opinion. You may have a different one. It's totally fine. But to me, yeah. Best filmmaker, to me, it's Steven Spielberg. Best movie composer, John Williams. To me, that's not even close. That's the one that's probably most head and shoulders above. Best actress of all time. Streep would be a solid contender for GOAT, but there might be some other ones in there too. But if you're trying to compare all these people to each other, that would be difficult because, again, they're in different fields, right? So how do you compare a football player to a hockey player? I mean, they're both athletes, but they do completely different things. You can't really compare what they do to each other. So that's a tough one. That would be a fun discussion to have. It's unfortunate that your discussion, Alan, didn't stay fun for long. But to me, that sounds like a really fun conversation. I would have liked to have been a part of that one. Let's see. Hudson Smith writes, you take all the MCU movies, time travel to the 80s, and put them in front of an audience. How many people lose their crowd? Oh my gosh, like take all the MCU movies with today's visual effects and drop them in front of people in the 80s? Well, I mean, there's a lot of, do that with even the Star Wars prequels. Good heavens, take the Star Wars prequels and take it back to 1982 and show it to people? Modern MCU movies, DCU movies, the big visual effects, Jurassic Park. Oh my God, take Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and go and show that to some dude sitting at a McDonald's in 1982. I mean, it would change the way they perceived reality. It wouldn't just be, wow, that's pretty cutting edge. No, it would change the way they perceive reality. See, we have the boiling frog syndrome, right? You know what they say? I don't even know if it's true, but you know, that saying is, if you drop a frog in a pot of boiling water, it'll scurry and run and try to get out of there, right? You put a frog in some warm water and then heat the water up to the point that it boils, it just becomes, it doesn't notice the change and it'll just die. Well, that's what we are like in with the movie. Like we've been through. We got to adjust to the next step in visual effects, then the next little step in visual effects, then the next little step. So we become accustomed to it. But you take like the MCU movies, a Jurassic Park movie, even a Star Wars prequel movie, take it back to like 82 and show it to somebody, it'll make them question reality. It'll seriously make them question if they're in reality or not. It would be mind-blowing. All right, Ben Lorenowitz writes, I am in a kick names and take ass kind of mood today. Kick names, take ass. That is one of the funnier, it's a ridiculous line in Infinity War, but it is actually one of those really, if I read that on the page, like that's a dumb line. But the way Mantis says it in the movie, every time I was in a theater with people, they all got a big reaction out of that line. And I'm like, really? But everybody loves that line. It always gets a big reaction, which is a little bit surprising to me. Devontae Brown writes, wondering what you hated about Luke Cage. Almost everything. Terrible pacing, bad acting, nonsensical plot twists, no progression on any of the stuff in there. It was a complete lack of anything good. Not as bad as Iron Fist, mind you. But yeah, it was just, I was really disappointed because that first half of Luke Cage season 1 I loved. Or at least really liked. But this one, no, it's not so much as what didn't I like about it. There was literally nothing to like about it. Now, maybe there are people out there who watch it and they did. That's great. That's wonderful. That's the subjectivity of it all. That's fine. But to me, I struggled to find any redeeming qualities. The stupid kid in the social media kid in the barber shop. It's everything about it was just, ugh. Oh, it was terrible. Again, not as bad as not as bad as Iron Fist. But, yeah, I just found it to be terrible. Harry T writes, who should replace Ben Affleck as Batman? Doesn't matter. And you guys know what I'm going to say to that. Doesn't matter as long as it's a good actor. Just get in. I would have been thrilled. I know Matt Reeves was looking at and wanted Jake Gyllenhaal. For whatever reason, that didn't work out. I think Gyllenhaal would have been a great Batman. I think John Hamm would be a great Batman. Hell, I think Idris Elba would be a great Batman. Look, but there's a long list of great actors. As long as it's a great actor, I'm on board. So who should play Batman next? I don't care. As long as it's a good actor, I'll be on board with it. Let's see. Zach Carper, and we're already past an hour, so I'm just going to finish this up here, guys. If you haven't sent in a question yet, please don't, because we're out of time. Zach Carper writes, hey, John, next UFC, who you got, Stipe or DC? We already talked about that a little bit. I got Stipe all the way. Chris Canmore writes, hey, John, you going to San Diego Comic-Con this year, 10-year anniversary for Clone Wars on Thursday. I am going to San Diego Comic-Con, and for all you guys who are in the San Diego area, whether you're going to Comic-Con or not, I do have my annual panel. I'm doing a panel at Comic-Con, my Masters of the Web panel, and this year the theme is, it's really about, I love the online film fan community, and I always encourage other people to get involved in the online film fan community. Become a creator in the online film fan community. Add your voices to the online film fan community. Start your own YouTube channel or podcast or blog. And so this year at my panel, I'm specifically zeroing in on starting and growing your own YouTube channel to contribute to the online film fan community, and how to do it in a constructive way, how to do it in a positive way, to make positive contributions to the online film fan community. And I'll tell you what, I'll let slip a couple of people. You'll know a couple of these names, you won't know a couple of them, but they're all going to be great for this discussion. Number one on this panel is my buddy, John Green, Soul Video. You guys seen him on my show. He was the CFO and is now the Executive Vice President of Fine Brothers Entertainment. He's in charge of social media and everything there as well. Fine Brothers started with 3 guys, Benny and Rafi Fine and John Green. He was the first guy to work with them. He's been with them ever since their beginning. And his whole job is about interacting with the fans. He knows so much about interacting with the fan community, about how to develop, what works, what does, all that kind of stuff. He's a genius when it comes to this stuff. He's also one of my best friends. I love this guy. And Fine Brothers Entertainment is clearly one of the biggest YouTube presences in the world. So he's going to be there adding his insight and wisdom to it. Also joining me, my friend Scott Mance. Of course, you remember him from television as a big film critic, but also now he is the president of the Los Angeles Online Film Critics Society. He's the president of that. So he works with people who do online film, doing online film punditry stuff all the time. He's the president of that organization. I thought, oh my God, Scott. And plus, Scott is simply the most positive, sunshine guy I have maybe ever met in this Hollywood town. And I thought his insight to something like this would be amazing. On top of him, I've got my friend Dorina. My friend Dorina, number one, she works at Google, so she's got a particular perspective on things, like especially with the world of online and stuff like that. That's way different from me or any of the rest of my friends. But then Dorina herself started her own YouTube channel called Super Dork House. And so she's going to be able to speak, number one, from a perspective of working for an online media giant, but also being somebody else who's brand new in starting out her own thing. And she's going to be able to share her perspectives about some of the hurdles and bumps that you may come across starting your own thing as well. And then, of course, there's me. So that is my panel this year. I am so excited about it. I think it's going to be really great. And I don't know if 5 people are going to show up to it this year or if 50 people are going to show up this year. I think I'm going to have like $10 AMC gift cards to give out to everybody too, to encourage you to go to the movies. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it this year. And for anybody who's already asking, no, we are not recording it. We are not recording it. It is going to be exclusively for people who are there. And so if you're in the San Diego area, you're planning to be at Comic-Con this year, make sure you come to that panel. I don't think we're allowed yet to announce when it's going to be, but it's at Comic-Con. I'll let you know a little bit more later. So yes, I'm going to be there, and I got some big plans for being there. All right. Final question of the day comes us from Caleb Bradford, who writes, I think you mean you're doing the Ant-Man spoiler talk next weekend. It doesn't come out. Oh, I thought it opened this weekend. Let me just double check that. I thought it opened this weekend. And nope, I was wrong. It's the Sicario 2 is opening this weekend. Next, yes. So on Sunday, July 8th. Is when I will do the Ant-Man and the Wasp. Just thank you, Caleb, for pointing that out. That's right. Totally got that messed up. That's why it's great having a community. I can say something stupid and somebody else can correct me. You're right. Sorry about that. Thank you for clarifying that, Caleb. Good. Thanks a lot for jumping on that. Okay, guys. That will do it for me. Am I still missing one tooth mouth despite spending 2 hours in a dentist chair today? Thank you so much for joining me here, guys. Don't forget the John Campea Show is back tomorrow morning talking about all the stuff in the world of movie news. I'm sure we're going to talk about this Jared Leto thing just a little bit. Make sure you come and join us for that. And again, we'll be back again for open mic tomorrow afternoon. Start making your plans for Comic-Con. Make sure you come to my panel as well. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I had a blast doing this today. And you got me over my bad mood from the dentist stuff, so thank you guys for that. That'll do it for now. I'm John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.